Hi, this is Vaughan in Nova Scotia. I wanted to show you the whales that I finished sculpting, and then I'm going to throw a few T-balls. Let's see if I can get in here. I won't get to see because I got it on this kind of... Okay, that was the first one that I did. Get close up, I guess. And I found him a little bit too rounded. But, you know, you get better as you work. And that was the second one that I did. I'll get you a little closer there so you can see. And that one was a little better, and then I got adventurous and I decided to make a real, I don't know what you call a school of whales, I guess. So I decided to put three together, and the two on the underside are the hollow forms that I threw on the wheel, and the one on top is actually just solid clay. So, so there you go, that's the status, and they're the lids for those jars I'm throwing and working on. They're already ready. They're still not dry enough to carve. It'll take a while to dry them out. So there we go. Let's see if I can get you set up here. This will be a brief... I've shown how to throw T-balls before, but I'm actually throwing a whole bunch of T-balls today. This sort of... Actually, I wonder if I can get it really close. I better get my foot on the foot pedal though. Yeah, I've got 2 or 3 contraptions here that I can set up. Alright, that looks good. Okay, should have introduced myself if people knew. This is Vaughan Smith at Westcote Bell Pottery in Nova Scotia. You can check us out at westcotebellpottery.ca. Alright, little tiny balls of clay, about 1/3 of a pound. I've thrown a lot today. I've already got about 28 of these made, I would think. It's rainy today. Very foggy and very rainy, so I'm not even going to show you out the window because I know I usually do that, but you can imagine a big grey mist. Tiny ball of clay, leaving about a 1/2 centimeter at the bottom. Make sure you're lubricated to the very top. Dribble water inside and outside. So I'll leave my fingers in position to show you. That's what I'm doing. 2 fingers, and this finger goes right in the middle there. The base is about the size that I want it, but I'm going to belly out. And then come back in. They're like small drinking glasses, basically. And I'm going to push out along the edge of that rim, rib rather. Change over to the metal rib now. Just getting the moisture off the piece. And I'll make several different types of these. Just to give you something to try at home. So the water's all out of the piece. So you can actually, let's stop the wheel completely. You can divide the piece into 4. Try and be equal. And then I can actually do a little mark by the corner edge of this rib, it's kind of pointed. just to give the glaze somewhere to hang in and get dark and light as it hits the ridges and the valleys. And then just at the end, just re-round off your rim a little bit. And then just to make sure that the rim is clean, use my little Freddie Moretti tool. He's one of my subscribers. If you guys want one of these tools, you'll have to call Freddie. Alright, that's one of the T-balls. There you go. I'll lift it up a bit close so you can see it a bit better. Alrighty. I'll give you a little history of the pottery while I'm throwing the next one. We started our first pottery in England in a little village called Borden in Kent, where the house had a little name plaque on the house, and it was called Westcote. And I think, I don't know, somebody Scottish can tell me whether this is true, but we were told that a coat is like a small stream or something, like a little thing of water. But anyway, we were on the house is on the west side of it, and I think that's why the house is called Westcote. The address was Two Hearts Delight. You can look it up on Google Earth, I bet. But anyway, that's where the first pottery was, and then we went from there to a ranch house in Ohio, where Jackie, my wife's mother, lived there, and she wanted us to set the pottery up in the United States, and so we did. And I worked in her basement, two-car garage basically, for about a year and a half, and my wife decided to get a master's in Ohio State in printmaking, and so I kept working in the basement, two-car garage, while she was doing that, and then eventually we moved into Columbus, Ohio, which was a pretty good move because that's where Ceramics Monthly is published, and Columbus College of Art and Design is there. Some very well-known potters lived in the area. Tim Mather, Tom Turner, trying to think who else. Anyway, Bill Hunt was the editor of Ceramics Monthly. Barbara Tipton and John Chalk was there for a while. So very famous potters. And we stayed there for 9 years, and I had 3 different studio locations during that 9-year period. And then we ended up going from Columbus, Ohio to upstate New York. And we went to the Catskills, just the southern Catskill Mountains basically, into a little village called High Falls, where we met 2 other potters who were in that village, called Kate Britton Shaw, and you can look her up too, and also Ulrich Lanzreen was there. I don't know if I know Kate is still there, but I don't know about Ulrich. And other potters in the area were Stephen Fabrico, porcelain, he was pretty well known. Jeff Shapiro, which if you look up you'll see he is very well known. He does a lot of Japanese style pottery. Brenton Baker, Stone Window Gallery, Joseph Triplo was there, so there's a whole bunch of potters. So we put together a pottery trail called the Hudson Valley Pottery Trail, which I think is still going. So here you go. I'm going to do this now with this piece. And then I think I'll do the definition line going down between those marks. And then the same again. make sure your rim is round. It's also, if you want to, you can also define the bottom edge a little bit there too. Now when these dry, there might be a little roughness to those lines, so I usually just rub my finger over the surface, just in case it's a bit sharp. But it's better to do it when the piece is leather hard. Right, here's another one. There you go, so 1/3 of a pound basically. My little finger gets really worn out, so I put duct tape around my little finger so it doesn't bleed onto the wheel surface. Because I put a lot of pressure down when I'm throwing, so I almost burn my little finger sometimes with the friction. After all those big pieces, and I still have to throw one more large piece because I made 3 lids and I only have 2 large vessels, so I'm going to throw another big piece, not as big as those though I don't think, for the 3rd lid. I've measured the lids so I know how to get them that size again. Because the lids are meant to fit the other big jars, so I want to make sure if I'm going to make another big jar it'll fit one of these lids. Yeah, I don't know, in the video I was doing 2 days ago, I guess it was, or yesterday, I can't remember which actually, but I was sniffing a lot and I was thinking, oh no, I'm gonna get COVID. But there's nothing in the province really. We've got 5 active cases in Nova Scotia at the moment. But that's what we're all thinking now. If we cough or sneeze or have a slight feel hot or something, we all think we're gonna get COVID. There you go. So I push in a little bit for that foot and then pull out across the top of the flat edge of the rib to give myself that little lift, and then I can use this one still if I want. If it's not dragging, I use the wooden one, but I like the metal rib because it doesn't drag as much. This one just doesn't drag on the surface. Get the water out. Got to do the rim on the other one. That just smooths the rim out. This clay is very smooth anyway. Now, let's see. I can make rings by pushing out with my finger on the inside and pushing in with the rib. And then lastly up the top. That sounds pretty simple to do. And make sure it's not too sharp where the rib was. Right. Now I have the door open. It's the 21st, I think, of October, and I've got my door wide open because it's warm here today. What do we think it is? 17 centigrade, so that's 34 plus 32, about mid-60s here today, if you're doing Fahrenheit. Not bad for late October. Flowers are still going outside. I haven't lost all my flowers. Round off the bottom. Yeah, sometimes they just want to wobble a little bit. This is new clay, so it shouldn't have any air bubbles in it. Now while the clay is thick, I don't need to slow the wheel down. So as the clay gets thinner, I will slow the wheel down. So pushing out with my inside finger, pushing in with my outside finger, pushing out with my inside finger, pushing in with my outside finger, pushing out with my inside finger, pushing in with my outside finger. It's a different way of doing those same rings. And give my more defined foot there. So anyway, after we left Mansfield, Ohio, went to Columbus, Ohio, and I had my pottery there. Then we went to the Catskills and in New York, and then we were in New York a long time. We stayed 17 years in New York, and then my wife had relatives up in Canada, so she came to visit them, and when I came up with her, we both decided, boy, we'd like to live here. And because she was half Canadian, she sponsored me. They look for people to live here. They want people to move here. It only took me 4 months, I think, to get my paperwork through. May 21st, I think I applied, and then it was through on September 1st, and then I moved here on September 30th. And we renovated this boathouse right on the LaHave River, which is on the south shore of Nova Scotia, facing south. Well, facing southeast, actually. And after 5 years, we did well enough so that we decided we would rebuild an old shopfront building that used to be here on this property. And so in 2017, we actually opened a new gallery called Westcote Bell Artworks. It's a tourist area, so basically we do well when tourism is doing well. So this year is really tight because there's not as much there's almost no tourism. So we're lucky because we've been able to survive just based on local support. We had a lot, we call it the Atlantic bubble. We basically had everybody from PEI, Prince Edward Island, Newfoundland and Labrador, New Brunswick, and Nova Scotia. They were the tourists we had this year. And they did support us pretty well. We've actually not had a bad year at all. And it's a little less stressful actually, so it's been quite relaxing in many ways. There you go. We're very lucky to be able to say that, of course. But it has helped that everybody was really good here about wearing a mask and social distancing. In fact, the restaurants are open again, and cinemas are open, I think, and because we got the COVID down to so low. The only time we get it now is if somebody gets off an airplane from somewhere else and brings it with them. And everybody has to self-isolate for 14 days, so when they come, they develop it, they're already isolating. It's a good system. I wish everybody could do it everywhere, because it has worked. Nova Scotia, 5 cases now. We've had over 1,000 since it began, but that was mostly when we got it in the spring. Like everybody else, it got here, and we had a 2-week lockdown in the spring where it got it down to almost nothing, and it's maintained that all the way through. So it is possible to basically do this. That rim, I'm not happy with it, so I'm just going to see if I can do that a bit. Open it up just a touch. I thought that was a little bit... This thing that Freddie made me is good because you can rotate it over the inner side and the outside. You can put different size rubber bands in it too. So, okay, what haven't I done? Well, there's also, you know, just do that, and you can square the form off. So obviously the clay should be a little bit stiff when you're throwing, when you're doing things like this. I can paddle this one, whereas it's a bit drier as well, to even make it more, but that doesn't even distort the rim very much. So just give me that rib down the bottom there, and then I can stamp with a clay stamp later on. Anyway, we've been in Nova Scotia 10 years now. Time really flies. You can see from my other videos how pretty it is around here. I post on Facebook as well under Vaughan Smith. There we go. I think that's probably 20 minutes. Yeah, 22 minutes. So I'm going to say goodbye. There you go. And stay safe. And stay healthy. Alright? Take care. This is Vaughan from Nova Scotia saying goodbye.